Hey all, just wanted to show you this wooden mallet that I made. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Took a lot of time working on this thing. Put my dark water logo in it there. Um, and it looks pretty good from what I'm showing you now. But we're gonna take a closer look on today's Shop Talk. So yeah, this wooden mallet, I've been making quite a few of these lately. And this one I was actually making to sell. And as I was going through it, I was rushing some things and trying some new things that I hadn't tried before. And I jacked this thing up pretty good. Now, like I said, showing it to you like this, just letting you see what I want you to see, you don't realize how messed up this thing is. And I'll walk you through a couple things here. First of all, as I was cutting these miters in the side to give it that kind of Thor hammer look to it, I fill each end of this hammer with 10mm shot to give it a little bit more punch when you're swinging it. I actually cut too deep on this edge and exposed that 10mm shot that was in there, so it started coming out. And I don't know if you can see that patch job with that walnut that I did, just to fill in that gap. So there's that. One of the other things is this mallet head is not square to the handle, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. See, if you can see, there's a gap in that square. This is not at all square to the handle. There should not be that big old gap between the mallet head and the handle there. So, problem number two. Then the third thing is the distance of the head on each side of this handle. It should be equal, right? So you've got good balance on this mallet. That's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. We got about 2.5 from the handle to the head on that side. And on this side, it's like 2 and maybe 1/8. So just some problems that I ran into with this. So I'm not selling this, obviously. This just became mine, and which was, I don't know, kind of bittersweet because I wanted another one anyway. I had this one. This is my shop mallet that I use all the time. I beat the heck out of stuff with this one, but I wanted a new one. I made Brother Mike Asbury one of these in this shape, and I really liked it, so I kind of wanted one for myself anyway, so now this one's mine. The point of all this is I posted a picture of this up on Instagram when I first made it. Like, look at me, check out this thing that I made, without highlighting all of those flaws. And men, I feel that we do that a lot in our daily lives. We only allow people to see what we want them to see. Especially men. Women probably go through this too, but I'm not one, so I don't know. We want to project strength. We want to project, security and ability, and we just don't want to be perceived as weak or anything like that. The problem is if we only allow people to see, just our strengths and we show no vulnerability or anything like that, they're not getting a full picture of who we are. And number one, you can't build relationship that way. But number two, you don't get the benefit of having that fellowship with other people if you don't allow them to see your weaknesses also. For example, say this thing, all those mistakes that I just highlighted with this, say that's all I knew how to do. Like I didn't know how to get this head square. I didn't know how to not cut too deep, stuff like that. If I don't show that to anybody, I can't get guidance, and advice and help on how to do this better. And I was thinking, my friend Pastor Jarrett Samuels, he was preaching a message at his church, I think it was on the 9th, January 9th. And he said something that just really hit me and really made me think of what I had going on here. He said, when we let people get too close, they'll realize that we're a mess. And so we hold people at an arm's length a lot because we don't want them to see the mess that we actually are. Well, I got news for you. We're all a mess, man. We all have mistakes. We all have errors. We all have weaknesses. We all have vulnerabilities and stuff. So when we put up these fronts like we don't, it's not like everybody around us doesn't know that we're fronting anyway, because nobody's perfect. And so when you try to display yourself as being perfect, we kind of all know that you're full of it, you know? And so like me posting this on my Instagram, look at me, check out this awesome mallet I made. That was being fake, man. That was being totally fake. Now, in all fairness, it's still a pretty good mallet, man. It's still totally useful. I can use this thing. It will function as it is. It's just not as good as it could be. And it's definitely not good enough to give or sell to someone else. So I should be the same in my personality and in my walk with Christ. I shouldn't try to sell anybody something that I'm not. What do I get out of that? You know, I think it's John, I got it written down here, 12, where Jesus is saying, he's talking to the Pharisees about loving the glory of men more than the glory from God. And I think we get caught up into that sometimes. We just want that glory of man. We want a pat on the back. We want affirmation. We want an attaboy, that kind of stuff. But we don't, God knows it. You know, God knows what's really going on in our heart and in our mind and stuff. And so we can receive all that glory from men, but that right there in itself is its reward. That's all you get. You don't, if you're not walking in integrity before the Lord, you're not going to be rewarded by him, from him, for integrity. Proverbs 10:9 is the verse that really came to mind talking about this whole thing. It says, whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. And that's so true, man. When we don't walk with integrity, when we make our ways crooked, man, you can only hide that stuff for so long. And think about with the fellowship of other believers and stuff. If you're hiding all your junk, say for example, you got a guy in your church who is teaching a marriage class, and from what everybody sees on the surface, that dude's got a rad marriage, you know, he's treating his wife good and stuff. But behind the scenes, the guy's actually a total jerk to his wife and stuff. And yet he's teaching a marriage class. Well, number one, I mean, how well can he be teaching that class? He might have some head knowledge on things to tell everybody else, but he's not actually walking that in his own life. And so it's not genuine, you know, and we're called to be genuine. We're called to walk in integrity. And something else that Pastor Jarrett said in that same message, he said that fellowship with others is one of the ways that we keep our lamps burning. And you can't have true fellowship with other believers if you're disingenuous, if you're not walking in integrity, if you're not being honest and genuine about who you are, if you're putting up a front and trying to show that you are something that you really aren't. And like I said about this mallet, it's still functional. It's actually still pretty. It looks pretty good. But it's not perfect, and I shouldn't try to display it like it is. It's cool as it is, but I can't try to sell it off as if it's more than what it is. And we shouldn't do that with ourselves either. Don't try to sell me that, you know, on you being something that you're not. Neither one of us are going to get anything out of that. And eventually you're going to be found out. And the same with me. If I try to display myself as something that I'm not, well, I mean, it's not like people aren't going to see that eventually anyway. The closer that you get to me, the more you're going to realize that what I've been feeding you is just bull. And so I think that's why a lot of people do keep people at an arm's length, because they know they're a mess, but they don't want people to know that they're a mess. It's okay if we know you're a mess, because we already know you're a mess, because we're all a mess. So that's what I got for this week. I hope you get something out of that, and I will see you next time.